or no, I figured out, oh yeah, here we go. Got it. I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tea Across the Miles. I am Lady Amy with Houses of Windsor, and this is Lady Nancy with Cup and Crown. Hello,
Hello.
Nancy.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
We're doing well, thank you. Yes.
Good. I am so used to just talking and not officially introducing anything for Friday tea times.
Oh,
We just go live and continue our conversation.
and you were in the middle of saying something to
I
me.
was, so I was like, oh wait, hold
About
on, hold
having
on.
tea
This isn't
towels.
Friday tea time. This is real.
You say something about tea towels though, because you've learned something about your cats.
Yes, thank you. So I have a pile of tea towels nearby when it's tea time because so even though the one cat has passed away, the other cat now has jumped up and taken its place on the computer.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, which I don't know. Do you even know that? Have they even talked to you since the one cat?
No, no.
Oh, okay. Whoops. So the one cat that had all those problems back in August with the urinary tract blockage, which is apparently can be very common in male cats. Like
That's what I've heard, yes.
never happens in female cats, pretty much. But the oh, he had a problem again. It was before Christmas, and Piper wasn't with me at least this time because she was with me last time. And yeah, basically we had to let him go because
Oh,
it was just
sorry.
gonna be it was just gonna be an ongoing problem, right? And it's like
Right.
this is very hard because he's young, he's like 4 years old, but I mean he's the youngest of the cats, but they say like, well, one, it could be a recurring problem, right? Plus, we'd already spent a lot of money back in August, and like this was gonna be essentially another $3,200 just to get him
Yes.
like
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And not that it was just the money, but it was like I was talking to, my good friend Kyle, and he's like, the thing with animals, he's like, is that they don't understand suffering, right? Like he doesn't know what's up. Like, so if you keep him there in the hospital and you're like doing all this stuff with them, like they're just miserable and scared and freaked out, right? So
Right.
like
Right.
it is more humane to not do this to him all the time, right?
True. True. Good perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so we had to let him go, but I did call my, parents first and stuff, and like my dad essentially, I had to basically explain to my dad why we weren't going to find this money to
Right.
put towards this cat because this cat had like really snuggled with him a bunch during while they were here on Thanksgiving, and like yeah, so he was sad about it. And so, but like in my father's true fashion, once the decision has been made and I'm like trying to talk with the technicians, whatever, my phone rings and it's my dad. He's like, but what was it again that was going to be $1,600? Maybe we can do like, stop. So I have to
Just
like, I have to like make the decision all over again.
no, when you've already and you've made peace with that and said goodbye
Yeah. And
in
now
your
I'm
in your
like,
heart.
and now
So
it's like, wait, are you sure you want to do this? He called me two more times doing this. 3 times I need to be like, let me kill my cat. Horrible. Right.
gosh.
That was how I was feeling on the inside. It was just like, Dad, like stop. Like,
Yes.
not
Right. Right.
you're
Oh my
trying to help.
gosh.
Like I get it. It's like, to him, he was just wanting to help and kept being like, are you sure? But it was also like, you were complaining about what we did in August. Like,
Right.
so
Exactly. Yep.
yeah.
So, but yeah, his
Yeah.
heart
So
was
so
cat.
that was
So
baby Breck. So baby Breck and Piper took it really well, as I guess, 6-year-olds, it could go either way, right? With like this is her first death of any kind, other than like movies and stuff.
right.
And uh when she got home, like so I that happened on like a Wednesday or Tuesday or something. And then I didn't have her until the Friday. And so like, I talked to David Shubnum, and we agreed like, well, I'll tell her when she comes home on Friday because she'll want to be near the cats and like she'll be, if I tell her over there while she's like away from me and the cats and like, she's just gonna be upset during the school week. So when I got home Friday, like she like starts trying to play and do stuff when we get home and like, it's not like she comes home and counts the cats, right?
Right, right. She just assumes they're there.
She didn't know. And then I was like, hey, I was like, can you come sit down for a second? I was like, I wanted to talk to you. And she's like, what about it? I was like, well, something sad happened. And she goes, oh, what happened? And I said, well, baby Brett got sick again. And she goes, is he dead?
And what did you say? Oh, I can't hear you.
Can't?
There you are.
I'm sorry. I can't get my mouth. So sorry. I said, I was like, yeah, he died. So like all the kids, I'll say books and things online nowadays tell you like don't be abstract about it, right? You say they're sick, their body stopped working, they're dead.
Right, right,
It's
right,
not that they've gone to sleep. It's not that they're gone or that they're lost.
right, right.
That means they could come back. Or if you
Yeah.
go to sleep, well, when are they gonna wake up? So
But she cut right to the chase. Boom.
yeah, she's just like, is he dead? Like, yeah, and she's like, oh, and then she's like, Emmy's gonna be sad, because that was one of Dave and Shebnam's cats
Okay.
first, and I was like, yeah, she like, she know. I let Emmy know she knows, and then Piper, like, we were right that she'd want to go to the other cats, so she went and found Wilgums, our Siamese one that she calls White Kitty. And she's like petting White Kitty and hugging him. She's like, look, he looks sad. Do you miss your friend, White Kitty?
So she had more empathy about it. Wasn't so much what she was feeling. It was the empathy for the cat's friends.
Yes.
Yes.
And but then she goes, White Kitty, when you die, I'm gonna cry. I was like, oh, no.
Be prepared. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh.
So she did get like, whatever, that's initial shock and whatever. But like, so as days went on, like, she'd talk about missing him and
Of
whatever,
course.
and
Right,
wanting
right,
Santa
right,
to
right.
bring him back. And it's like, I don't think Santa brings things back there.
Pet cemetery. Not what you
I'm
want.
like, why don't we watch a little movie?
I know. Please say you didn't. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So sorry. So that's the long opener for the show.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's post holidays. Cheers.
Yes.
Happy New Year, I guess we should say. And
That's right. Happy New Year.
yes, Happy New Year and bright and wonderful things on the horizon. Potential
Yeah,
for both of us.
right.
Fingers crossed. But
And how was your Christmas and everything?
it was good. Gosh, it was quiet here.
Everybody home and
It was just
healthy?
us. Yep, everybody home, healthy. Yes, by Christmas, yes, healthy. A lot of working for my son, unfortunately. So we were basing a lot of things around his waitering schedule. We went to midnight mass. It's the first time. We usually go to mass there's a children's mass at 4:30.
Sure.
Out by 5:30. We pick up Chinese food and we, start. So we have time to read a night before, the night before Christmas and put Jesus in the manger and things, to do all the traditional things, and time to get somebody to bed before Santa needs to come and do the last of the things. Well, my son was working until 11 o'clock, and that's if they cut him at 11 o'clock. So there are two things I told him on the way out the door. I said, the first thing is you get your butt back here as fast as you can. So we're going to try to get to midnight mass. And for Christmas masses, usually the pews are just, they're so full. So you got to get,
say everybody comes, right?
Yeah. And the second thing I told him, I said, this could work to your advantage. I said, people at your tables, you should be boohooing and going, my whole family's at home and I can't be with them. try to milk some of those tips. Anyway, so he got home and we went. It wasn't as crowded as it could have been. But this priest is particularly, he's become long-winded. But I'm sorry, when you have a midnight mass, you don't tack on an extra 30 minutes to the service. 1:30 we got out of there. Jackie was awake since like 7:30, 8 o'clock that morning. She never napped or anything.
Oh no, jeez.
And we
She
got
didn't fall
her back.
asleep there.
No, totally thought she would. Totally thought she would. Came home. I'm like, yeah, we're not reading the book. Put Jesus in the manger. Quick, sing him happy birthday. Get to bed.
Yeah.
And so we did. So I don't think I fell asleep until like 3 or 3:30 that night. And of course she was up by like 8:30.
Yeah.
Ready to go. And we pushed through the day. We had a lovely dinner together that I made, and something simple but really good. And we went to New York for a little bit to see Jose's family between Christmas and New Year's. William, again, could not attend because of his job. That's a whole big bone I'd love to pick, but anyway, we'll avoid it. And then New Year's was just quiet here with our best friends who had just returned from, where do they go? Vienna and where else did they go? And Prague, Vienna and Prague. And so they brought their pictures and we were talking, and we actually stayed up to like 2:30 in the morning with them. Usually we shut things down. It's like, hey, happy New Year, get the hell out. But we just kept talking. So it was a good time. It was a good holiday. We had a nice time. And you?
Good. So it was just Piper and I for Christmas, which was great. And so let's see. She woke up, it was before 8, but so I thought that this would be the year where she's like really tearing into presents. We're still not there yet. So like she wants presents. She wants to open like one and then just play with it. It was like,
so every hour on the hour or
so
something.
like literally
She
opened up like 2 or 3 and then just like didn't want to. She's like, will you open the rest? I go, no, like you're not 2 anymore. You're 6 years old. I'm not opening your presents. So I was like, do you want to take a break? She's like, yeah. I was like, okay, fine. So I like fell asleep on the couch for like 2 hours, and then she finally was ready to open more. I was like,
oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's overwhelming. It can be really overwhelming. Some people even say that about, we've got friends that would never take their children to Disney World because they read something about it. It's ridiculous. Every child should go to Disney World. Sure. But yeah, when you open up, it's too much to take in. It's a sensory overload for some kids, and sometimes an emotional overload if they're just so excited about it.
That's true.
Oh my gosh, that just makes day, last long.
I know. Yeah. So it was like, all right. So, and then we went over in the afternoon to our neighbor Miss Lee's house. Her son Caesar was over there for the holiday, the one that's like my age that used to be staying out a bunch. But so we went over there and just hung out and like chatted for a little bit, caught up. So that was nice. And she gave Piper have you heard of like, I think they're called Warmies? They're like little stuffed animals that are essentially like a rice bag that you heat up, but it's a stuffed animal and you put it in the microwave and warm it up. And then like they have the like,
oh, interesting.
Warm thing.
Oh, I thought you said wormies. It's warmies. Okay.
Warm. Sorry. It's warm.
Like, okay.
No.
Wormies. Okay.
Warmies. And so, but it's funny because they smell like lavender, like they're supposed to. And
oh, nice. It's calming. Yes.
Yeah, but Piper was like, why? Like when I heated it up and she like had it at night, she's like, why does it smell bad? And it was like, it's supposed to smell good. It's lavender. She goes, it stinks. And I go, well, it's supposed to be calming. It calms, like, it calms humans down. And she goes, oh, okay. And so she still slept with it because she liked it. And it's like a stuffed animal. But then the next day she was like, I think you must be right. I fell asleep. I felt calm.
Very cute. Very cute. Yeah. I'll have to look those up. That's interesting.
Yeah. So, but I'll say they're definitely made for kids as far as heat goes because they can't get that warm. Like you can't put them in for very long. So
right.
I'm used to having like an old fashioned, what I call a rice bag. I don't know what else people call them, but like that someone, hand sewed, put rice in it and you heat it up in the microwave and like put it on your feet. I don't know.
Interesting. I've never even actually heard of that. So
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So I guess maybe it's Indiana. I don't know. It's from Indiana.
I know, but I'll take a look at that one. That sounds
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
But
and talking because my feet are always cold,
oh
and
my gosh.
they're cold
Yes.
now. So I may look like I'm dressed, but here I'm in my
Yes.
slippies right
Ah,
now.
I got your slippies on. Nice.
Quite comfortable at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, get
That's
that.
pretty
Get my
so anyway, so that was good. And then for New Year's, so she went to her dad's before New Year's, and so I got to go hang out with Paula and the gang.
oh right.
Um, and it was at our friend Mateo. It was at his house, and it was great. So like he has a bunch of sons that are like I don't know, 20s or something, or maybe
Okay.
some are in high school. But anyway, so it was like a big group of grown-ups mixed with a big group of like 20s, whatever, like, like kids, but like older kids. And it was just fun because we didn't mix a lot, but like when we did, it was just kind of funny because so they had a karaoke machine, but it wasn't working. And so instead they just put up on YouTube, we just would search like there's like karaoke already set up or whatever. And we would just all, it was like a campfire. We just all like stood around the TV and sang together songs.
Well, that's fun.
It was really fun. And
Yeah.
so that was really good. And it was funny because of like what songs would get people in the room, like that they could
Right.
hear from afar and like would come in.
Gotcha.
And uh we didn't realize how hard Ice Ice Baby was by Vanilla Ice. Because once you see all the lyrics that he's cramming into the song, like
Oh yeah.
no breath, like there's not a chance. So we're like dying and dying laughing, so that's not helping. And like one
Right.
of the kids like comes in and we're like, help us. They're like, this is too old, we don't know. We can't help you.
Gosh, that was Ice Ice Baby. That was my graduation year, high school
That's what I
graduation.
say. Was that yeah, do you want me to say what year it was?
I think it was 88, 89, wasn't it?
That's what I was gonna say. I thought it was either super early 90s or yeah, or thereabouts.
Yep.
So
Yeah, something like
so
that.
that was
And
uh
now he does house construction, so
that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then what was also interesting was like, so afterwards, so at midnight we were all outside and there was like they have the pool, it's Florida, so it's like the screen porch. The
Right.
pool was freezing, but of course two of the kids, right, like they at midnight, like and during the countdown they're like getting ready and like taking like shirts off and whatever, and then they've got their swim trunks on and they jump into the pool. It's like, oh my god. It's so cold. And so but then they were like dancing and they were playing like their own music outside. And we had so much fun. My friend Lindsay and I had so much fun watching them because we're like, so this is how dancing looks now. Like we're like, there's so much leg work. Like, because they were playing some older songs. We're like, hold on, that's not what the dance is to this. They're like, there's a real dance to this. We're like, yeah, we'll show you. Like showing them, and they're like, it's like, yeah, it's kind of just you move your arms or like hips. I don't know. There's not a lot. But these guys, their legs are like, they're just flailing. Everything is moving.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So I was impressed. Lindsay was jokingly making fun of them. And I was just like, this is great. I was like, it's better than what we did. Oh gosh. Exactly.
The
Yeah.
Carlton.
Yeah. Well, that's one of them. One of them was trying to do like the Carlton and it was like out of control. And so Lindsay got up and showed him like, this is all it is.
Exactly. It's very simple. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
Oh my gosh.
My brother and I wrote this out a lot. That's funny.
Yeah. So it was very, very fun. But also what happened since we last spoke was the final episodes of The Crown.
Absolutely. Coming to the task at hand. Well, let me ask you real quick before we're going to go back old school, back to the days when Amy first started doing virtual teas with people.
Oh, yes.
And inviting people to come on and talk with her. What cup are you using and what tea are you drinking?
Well, I've already mixed them up, but I think Well,
Yeah,
I
you
can
change
tell
color.
my middle. So this one is double cream Earl Grey, which all of these I've
Yum.
already tried, and so I was just like, I don't know which one I want to like commit to a whole pot to.
Yeah, so
And
Amy's
then
doing her own tea tasting right now.
yeah,
Yes.
and then I've got this one's pumpkin chai. I felt like getting some chai spiciness. And then
Mhm.
this one, I couldn't remember. It's a sample I had. I couldn't remember if I liked it or not. I don't.
Oh, okay. Okay. Dump.
It's just
Dump.
black tea and it's just called like caramel. So it should be pretty easy to get right, right? But it doesn't
Oh,
taste,
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
no, it just kind of tastes
No.
like icky black tea. No.
So the middle one that you picked up, my glasses are not on, but that looks like no other one.
Mm. My very original cup.
It looks like Royal Albert. Is that not Country
It
Roses?
is. It is. Good eye. Yeah, this is like my favorite cup from like, I don't know, when I very first started collecting tea stuff. Yeah, it's country. Yeah, old country roses. Mhm. I couldn't tip it too much because I've spilled
No,
tea.
of course not. Of course not. Of course not.
Well,
So,
usually you can pull up the saucer, but I've even spilled tea in it.
so before I know it's digressing yet once again. So I
Okay.
told you the other thing that I did right before Christmas is I had some friends over because my British friend's mother, Amy and I had a conversation about this already,
Yeah.
but she I was showing her all of my Royal Albert tea things. Her mom
Yeah.
is from England, was here visiting, so I had a little tea party. I hung on her absolute every word. She was
Yeah.
just darling. She had it was, as I said to Amy, though, it was reaffirming, because she would say things. I'm like, oh, I know that, or join in the conversation, and she complimented me on my brewed tea, and she complimented me on my scones, which I will take to my grave. And she was just darling. But Jose gave me napkin rings that are the old country roses, and
Oh.
so I pulled that out for her, and she said, that's my tea set. She said, that's the tea set I have. She said, somebody gave it to me. She said, I don't actually have the teapot. I have the coffee pot, which is usually taller and
Yeah.
slender. And I said, no, I do actually have the teapot and the cream and sugar that my friend gave me.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
She gave it to me. I mean, the thing is worth, Royal Albert's not cheap, just let me say that.
Yeah, right.
But Old Country Roses was Royal Albert's most popular, hands down, most popular pattern of all time.
Oh,
They even have a Christmas version of it that has a pretty ribbon that runs through the rose. Lovely. Anyway, so she and I so you pulled that up, and it made me think of her.
Oh, that's awesome.
She was sweet. So my mug, going back
I
to
saw that Lady of the House.
Lady
I
of the
love it.
House, as they
Downton
gave this to me,
Abbey.
Downton Abbey.
Beautiful.
And I'm drinking this absolutely delightful tea that this really wonderful tea enthusiast shared with me a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
This is Scottish toffee caramel. It's good.
Oh yeah.
That someone gave me a
That's
sample
so
of, and my pantry has never been without. I'm down to like 2 more helpings that I'm going to have to reorder. And if you haven't figured out, I'm talking about Amy. Amy shared it with me, and it was like love at first sip. It was
that one. You're right. I haven't had that one in a while now. Yeah, that one is really good.
Never disappoints.
So
Good. So good.
Probably what I want this caramel one to be, and it's not.
And it's not. I know that it took a long time for the tea industry to get a good chocolate flavored tea.
Oh, interesting.
I think I was having a conversation with another tea drinker, a friend of mine. And she said, I've tried so many chocolate teas. And she said, it seems like the first ones that came out in the market were, tasted like cardboard. But she said they've really worked to perfect it. I know Harney and Sons makes a very good Valentine blend, and it's a chocolate tea. It's so good. And it really,
it's like all the ones that I've had or that I've, have tasted really good that I've tried. So like there's a mint chocolate. So if you like mint chocolate things, it's delicious.
And I do. Okay.
Yeah. And then the chocolate chai is really good. And it's nice. It's a really good spicy chai too.
Okay.
If you like spicy chai.
If you like spicy. If you like spicy. I think the first chai I ever had was way too peppery, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Oh yeah.
And that was before I actually started drinking tea, but
so
a friend of mine had given it to me, and I'm like, I don't like this. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
like it more mild. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, so I know we are going to talk about The Crown, but I also told you.
Eventually.
I know. I know, but I also
I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there.
told you that I've been watching a lot of shows. So, a lot of them. So they've basically either been period dramas, like older ones that are just like I don't know, random ones that I've found on like the Roku channel that's like free. Cause I'll like search overall and like find where these things are in my streaming channels. And um, so I was watching, I watched Belgravia.
Oh, it's so funny. I just
Belgravia.
recorded now. I read the book and I saw it when it came out.
Okay.
Yes.
So I've seen that, and this is not ruining anything, but I love it because they basically just sort of work into it. Oh, Lady Bedford starting afternoon tea.
Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
that they're and that like and so you like hear some of the ladies' comments like, I don't see why we can't just sit at the table. And someone else is like, well, because then you can move around the room and talk to other people. And like, you're not stuck. And like one lady's like, well, the nice thing about this is that I can leave whenever I want.
Yeah.
Come and go as you please.
Yes, I do remember that, and I love that. But that's where like some people don't know, and you I'm sure you know because you and I have talked about tea for so long. Was afternoon tea was also very often called low tea. People, not high tea. It was called low tea because you would have your tea and your food at low tables, like your coffee tables, or your chairs were low and comfortable. A woman's bedroom in elite houses were also they were elaborate, and that was her private place to entertain. Now, I mean, I'm sitting in my sitting room, which my bed is right over there.
Oh,
So, but most people do not entertain in their bedrooms anymore. They have kitchens and dining rooms or family rooms and dens and comfortable places to do that. But that's where a woman could have her private. This one of the things that I talk about in how tea came to be popular. And yes, Lady Bedford. I forgot that reference was in that movie or in that series. Yeah.
In the series. Yeah. So that was really good. And then okay, so I'm sure I even have like a little thing in notes because I know that I love it because I'm like whenever I don't, I'm so scattered.
I forget. So I was watching and I'm like, oh, I gotta make.
Oh, I know. Unfortunately, I didn't take it while I was watching it. I should have taken it while I was watching it. This is all like memory after the fact. But okay, where do you want to start with The Crown?
Well, I think we already dissected the first one through, was it 1 through 5, 1 through 6?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. The 1 through 5, the Diana.
Right.
Yeah.
So when they open within the first 15, 20 minutes, and they were talking about, and Charles was talking to Anne, and he had this line, and I read it because I love that. He says, I'm living in a prison of public opinion. I thought that is fabulous. That really, from their perspective, we think, oh, they're living in this wonderful castle, and and from that, for them, trying to perform a duty and to win positive public opinion. And he said, I'm living in this prison of public opinion. And actually, no, I think he was talking to Camilla. He was talking to Camilla. And I thought that was fabulous. And you're right. And yes, they have to. They may have their opinions. They may have things that they want to. He was, of course, referencing whether or not Camilla should come out of the shadows, and start joining him in things, and it says and
that's
wanting
she
to marry
says her. Not yet, right?
Yes, and wanting to marry her. When it finally happened, when the Queen did finally, and you see him race over and be excited. No, who was witnessing? Nobody's give all this to say, but do you picture that he did that? Do you picture that he was? I don't see him being.
He was that excited.
Demonstrative. I'm sure in his heart he was excited about it, but I can't see him running over and getting on one knee. I just don't see that. And he's not supposed to bow to anybody else anyway. But
but it's Camilla.
Just saying.
All-time love. Yeah. I could see. I don't know. So I like to think that it would be that demonstrative, but it's also like, okay, let's think about it for real. They've been together for like so long, like in one way or another. So it's like, how much, like, are we still doing super romantic things? Or are we like, hey, guess what? She finally said we can get married. Cool, cool.
Right, right. Okay, let's do this. I mean, yeah, I do wonder. I do wonder. But speaking of public opinion,
Yes.
trying to show how much affection there was between them, because as you and I have said, this last season of The Crown really treats Charles favorably.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Very much so. Whereas I wasn't expecting that, because I thought this was all going to be, boohoo Diana, boohoo Diana.
Right, right.
But yeah, so that was the first thing on my list.
So I had, okay, so I think we talked about it a little bit on our phone call, but it was like, Will Mania was
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
For someone like me, who was part of that, in the sense that I was very aware of him once I went over there, and I was 14 and he was 16, right? So it's like I fell deeply in love with him. He was a heartthrob, right?
Yes.
The only thing that I didn't do was I never wrote to him or like did anything like that.
Right.
Probably just because I didn't know it was an option. So like I definitely like, wrote to like Backstreet Boys and whatever, because they had like these mail addresses in the back of like the teen magazines.
Right. Of course. The fan clubs. And
So yeah, so I guess had they had one for Prince William and I knew it, I would have written to him. But what's funny is the Royal podcast I listened to, Royally Obsessed, one of the girls, so she was saying how it was the same for her. She was one of the girls, but she was like, I feel so bad. She's like, because I was one of the ones that wrote him the letter. She's like, I didn't know. And but they had a guest on, and he was funny because he's like, oh, whatever. He's like, he loved that. It's like he's like, he wouldn't read it if he didn't, like, if you've got to at least enjoy it a little bit. But
I'm sure it must be a heady thing too. I'm just,
yeah. So that was just interesting. But what I did note was, so the things that I really thought were interesting. Oh, so, and again, this is from the Royal podcast, or Royally Obsessed. So what they did for the final episodes afterwards with their guests was, they said basically they were going to talk about it, but also each of them had Googled things they were interested in to find out what was real and what wasn't.
Right.
in the show.
Right.
So one of the big ones was that the chance meeting of Kate and William on the street with Diana when they were doing the charity thing, that didn't happen. That was completely imagined.
I was immediately like, hold on a second. I was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I figured it wasn't true, but then they were like, Kate has said like many times when questioned, that she never got to meet Diana, and like, how sad, she was sorry to have missed her and all that. So it's like, so that never happened. The other thing is, they were talking about they did Kate's mom dirty, like the way that they made her seem. Now, I think there has to be some truth to it, because her mom really did have her change schools and do the gap year in Chile, like kind of last minute. So those things were true.
yes.
Now, as far as like how much mom has really been betting on William like all these years, I don't know how.
I'd always heard it was the grandmother, but so one of the notes that I have about her, it's not favorable either, but actress playing Kate's mom looks somewhere between a Native American and Jennifer Aniston. And I know I've seen her in something else, and I can't figure what it is, but anyway, that's
hilarious.
Yes.
So I'm like, so I guess I haven't looked at the pictures like side by side. So like of the actress versus Kate's real mom. So they don't look the same or don't look similar.
No, there are similarities, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
But there are. So I think I don't know if it's the first episode, not first. What is this, episode 6 that we're talking about? Right. I could have made these notes. The episode where Will is quite sulky and there's distance between him and his dad. Yeah. And I think it was Prince Mountbatten, wasn't it, that talked him and, no. It was the Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah, it was Philip.
Who talked to him and said, he's just tried to help him find a way. He said, that sometimes the person we're angry with is not really the person we're angry with, but just, the focus of our anger. So he drives him to Charles, the house in Gloucester, and Charles is out working in the garden. They have him, picked. This Charles is quite obsessed with his gardens.
He is. Yeah, I was like, I feel like that was legit. He was found in the garden.
So there's a scene at the very end there where he walks up to his dad. You don't hear the words. You just you see the back of Will. You see the front of Charles, and Charles drops the hoe or whatever he's got, and not referring to Camilla.
Bravo.
His
Did you not make
his garden tool? He drops his garden tool, and puts his arms around Will, and they embrace this big hug. And so I had to put that. All I put was hug between Will and Charles with a big question mark. Do we think that would have happened? When Diana died, all he managed was a pat on the knee and darling boy, and that was to Harry. So
allegedly, that's what Harry says.
That's what Harry says. So I question that. I'm not expecting an answer, but that was something that was like, ooh, would that have happened?
But as far as speculation, I questioned more how. So I liked dramatization or whatever. Like I liked everything that they did, all the choices they made. Now, as far as comparing him to the real people, I feel like Prince Philip was not known to be like that kind of emotional or guidance. Like, I don't know, or just unless it was the speculation that like he saw how he missed, whatever, sort of helping Charles, and he's helping, right? Because they act like, the parents are the ones who should be dealing with this, and then realizes like, William's not listening to his dad.
Right.
So I felt like they made him, I don't know, they made his character seem really great and like emotionally intelligent and understand psychology.
Yeah. and we're not sure about that. We're certainly not sure about that. But it is, or at least I should say it's truth. It's truth that I read once that when Diana died and the boys they couldn't believe they were being asked to walk behind the funeral, her coffin and things, that it was Philip who told the boys, I'll do it with you.
Oh, okay.
If I don't want to do it either, but if you, I'll do it if you do it, and I'll be with you on that. So and
perhaps again, it's like a grandfather, right? Like he's softer with the grandkids.
But going back again to that prison of public opinion, none of them wanted to do that. They didn't even want the public funeral, but but felt they had to. So anyway, so that was
that's that. Yeah, and I agree that I think like if Charles and William were going to hug, I do not think it would be that long, and it wouldn't be that like emotionally charged.
I agree.
That was like the Hollywood thing.
I agree. And what they addressed was William's emotional turmoil that would never have been seen by anyone or talked about by anyone. It would only have been speculated. So to me, this was a director's or writer's complete imagination as to what they thought he was going through. Now, as for Harry, why wouldn't they do that for Harry? Well, because Harry put out what he did, and what we saw of Harry in there was the starting of the drinking and the drug use and things like that. But
what they did, so what was interesting is the creator of the show, he did say he did not read Spare and wasn't going to read Spare. So, right? Okay. So like, that was one of the things they talked about on the podcast, is they're like, but there were so many things. And so they speculated that they're like, you didn't have to read it to necessarily pick up on things that were
and there are interviews
out in the ether about the book.
Correct. And maybe he didn't read the book, but there could have been things here and there that he would have. in his, if come across in his
Because,
research.
yeah, I
So
feel like they, yeah, first of all, I'm sorry, but the actor who was that they got for Harry was the worst thing ever. Like, and not to discredit the actor himself. Hey, here's the cat.
oh, hello.
So this is Captain. Um and also known as Orange Kitty.
Yeah, Orange Kitty.
Yeah. But so yeah, the cat totally distracted me.
Yeah.
What were we saying?
You were talking about the actor.
Oh yeah, sorry, the
From
actor
Harry.
that played Harry. So he just didn't look anything like him.
No,
Like
no,
he
other
was
than the fact that he
very
was a ginger, and that was the only thing was the red
literally
hair.
it. Yeah, that he's white
Yeah.
and he has red hair. That was literally the only thing.
Yes.
And like, so I feel like and they just made him so cranky. I mean, they had basically the attitude swap between the boys, like during episodes, right? Where it started out with like William's really cranky and like Harry's like, that was pretty mean to dad, basically. Like that was harsh, whatever he said. And like,
Right,
oh,
right.
right. And then it's like but really, I feel like age wise, it makes sense where it's like, well, now William's older, college wise, like college age, he's a little more stable emotionally. And now Harry's the cranky teenager, right? Like, or
Right, right.
teenager.
As he, yes, as he matured and progressed, yeah, that he
Right.
became more cranky. Well, so the my third note down was the closeness of Will and Harry. Yeah, if it is, true, this guy didn't read Spare, because
Right.
according to Harry, shortly after his mom died and he started attending the schools and stuff like that, that he and Will were not close whatsoever. But
Yeah.
you keep seeing these instances where they're having these conversations, and I think there was even an instance they were at school together, and it's like, no, apparently not. Remember, Will,
Yeah.
according to Harry, Will said, pretend you don't know me, because I'm
Right.
gonna
Right.
pretend like I don't know you.
Right.
um, which is real interesting. How are you going to pull that off in a school where
Right.
everybody knows who you are?
Right, right. But I will say, I feel like that's a very older sibling thing to do. Like, I'm not gonna say that
Oh,
my
sure.
brother flat out said, "You don't know me," but like my brother was 3 years older than me in high school, and it was like, yeah, don't like come up and talk to me and my friend. Like,
Very different for my
yeah,
older sister Donna and I. We were in high school. Our high school was only 3 years, so when she was a senior, I came in as a sophomore. But no, we would wave at each other and give each other
oh,
hugs
okay,
with that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
all the time.
So maybe it's a boy thing.
Maybe I can see that. I can
Yeah.
see that. I can see that being some girls too, though. Like, I don't want my
Well,
little
that's
sister
true.
around.
Yeah, yeah.
The references of Harry with the drugs, that did come out, that.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
And the whole Nazi uniform for Halloween,
Yes.
things that. So the one thing that Harry talked about being the spare was also in order to elevate Will, because they want to make
Mhm.
sure Will has the better public opinion,
Right.
that Harry was always getting the bad press. They always make him look like the idiot. And
Right.
that's addressed. I mean, he's given that line. He says, I'm the dolt, D-O-L-T, the dolt. I'm the one who's, made to look like the idiot.
Right.
And doesn't matter what I do, that's what's going to happen. And
Right.
they did actually give him that line, and I thought, yeah, and they did. I don't feel that they
Yeah.
treated him as fairly as they did Will.
They do. Yeah.
So yeah.
And really, I think it's like, I mean, I know media, it's like the way that they treat the royal family throughout history has changed a lot, right? Like they used to
Yeah.
like be very kind to the royal family, but it's like I've been thinking that it's odd to be the spare and think, I don't know, that you're not necessary, I guess, or like that you can just mess up and do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that like the queen, like look at the queen's dad, he was the spare. So like if anybody, like that's very close.
Yeah.
Right. And he wasn't a joke, right? Like actually it was kind of the other, I mean, the other guy, he wasn't a joke, but he was the playboy, right? Like he was
Right.
always about town. So it's like really, if anything, they should be instilling in him that like, no, you're valuable too. Because if William craps out on us,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we need you to step in.
We need you to step in until, of course, he has a son, and then bye. We don't care.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but not if he's exiled in France. We don't care.
True.
So, Yeah, but so I just yeah, looking at like history and stuff, it's like, well, it's not that far from when we needed a spare.
Right. So I thought the scene in the library, I think it was, that Will seemed to be, chasing after Kate in this series. And I'm wondering how much of that, I don't know how much of that was true.
Right.
But they portray Kate as being highly sought after by many people.
Right, right.
At the school.
Was like, yeah, she was like the fittest.
Yes, and she was playing it very cool with everybody, including Will. Right. But where they make that scene where he's looking for a book, well, guess who has the book? It's sure. Kate. He's got to go and seek her out for it. And right. They have this conversation, and here's this girlfriend.
His like girlfriend. Yeah.
Yes. A little on the trashy side, just saying, at least that's how they portrayed her.
Well, she was, except for the fact that she's like old nobility trash. like they said, like she's
she
super,
can, yes.
Yeah. I mean, and I won't even say it's not even right, like she seems trashy, but it's just like rich, like spoiled.
Yes.
Whatever, right.
Yes.
Like
yes, yeah. Exactly.
So I do like
stark contrast to what you see, how you see Kate, and that's probably right. Some of that is probably intentional when you talk about the dress and the hair right. And everything else, compared to how collected in her wardrobe as well as her demeanor Kate
right.
is. Right. So there are a couple things that I came across that if Will sowed his wild oats, it is a wonder that more girls don't come out. I mean, what loyalty did any of these girls?
That's true.
These friends, they try to surround themselves with people who will keep things under wraps for them and not. But it just is a wonder to me that more people do not come out to tell their wild stories.
Right.
What loyalty to royalty?
Right. That is true. Yeah. Because it's like, even if they're just like, I don't know, like hookups or whatever, like I feel like when you be telling that to like in the moment, wouldn't you like be telling that to the tabloids or something, right? Like,
or you go and brag about it to your friends.
Or you're telling somebody else
looking for a buck or some publicity or something like that. So it just amazes me that the only thing that's ever come out was that woman that Harry, the fling that he talks about in his book.
Oh, right.
The woman, yeah.
Like
a stallion. And but so there was this confrontation in the library with the girlfriend, talks of, should be more than an image and whatever.
Yeah.
So a little bit later, you see Kate walking the campus grounds with a boyfriend.
Yes.
And Will walks up to the two of them and apologizes to Kate in front of this guy.
Yeah.
Never would have happened. You asked me, never would have happened. I don't, as far as private as he is, as private as he has to
be,
I find it very hard to believe that he would have made any apology to her, any reference to any sort of anything in front of anyone else.
Well, yeah, that, and I just feel like so much time had passed to like, or felt like so much time had passed to like go up to him and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know. That just seemed kind of weird to me that it would be that big of a deal still. Like, I mean, I guess if he's just looking for a reason to talk to her, right? Like, whatever.
Yes.
But as far as like needing to give her an apology for that, it's like, no, they could just be like, oh, sorry about that. That got a little crazy. Wasn't expecting like the girlfriend to come in and the girlfriend to be like,
right.
fighting
yes,
with you.
Exactly. Well, they make him out to, that he's humbled, he's, humility, that he was embarrassed by the whole thing. And, and I'm wondering where this fabrication was, this again, just one more, I think it's just really interesting to me that they made it look like he was really in hot pursuit of Kate.
Yeah.
And, so
I like, I was like, I like it since it's like, basically her mom like puts her there in the vicinity, right? So it's like, I like that, and at least in the show, Kate's not actively seeking him out, right? So it's like, all right, fine, I'll be here where he is. But like,
right,
if we're meant to be together, like he's gonna have to be the one to like make
Yes.
it cool.
Yeah. Then they make it, down to, well, yeah, her mom was really pushing it, but she was very meek and mild and not self-confident about it. And
Right.
I don't know about
I
that.
know. I also liked that oh that they explained the fashion show as if like she picked it out on purpose to be like dressed as little as possible just to show to him. I just thought that was fun. I have no idea. I doubt that's true because I feel like in fashion shows, especially college fashion shows, someone's already picked out what you're
They
wearing.
picked out what
That's
you're
what you're
wearing.
there. Like you're already fitted for that.
True. Yeah,
You're
I
not
want
like
that.
about to go on the runway and be like, oh, now I get to pick out my outfit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
2 seconds before? I don't think so.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that was planned long before. Um, can you picture the two of them sitting down with a bowl of popcorn and watching these
Oh my
episodes?
God. I
Can you
think
imagine?
I feel like it would be really entertaining because
Yeah,
like you get
right.
to laugh about like where they got things so wrong or like,
Right.
just how
Right.
funny it is. Like yeah, that would
As
be
well as frustrating too about like, I would never have done that, or my mom didn't do that, or
right,
uh,
right.
or sitting there with Will's watching that and him like, oh, that's right, you did do that, and you did follow me here, and you did show up here, and you did,
Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm sure they've already covered all of that stuff.
Sure.
In their own.
It's just so funny.
Oh my God.
Well, I know. And so I liked oh, I was gonna say I also liked when the way they used the former queen actresses, right? So they have like the old queens
Yes.
coming to talk to the current
Yes.
queens. I really liked the basically the whole debate about abdicating or not and having the middle-aged queen tell her you've done your like people would be retiring right now, like give it a break, let Charles do it before he's old, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these things. So basically, publicly, the queen has always said she would never abdicate. And so people are like, well, we don't even know. It's like, I feel like naturally you would have at least at one point have a thought in your head that would come creep in and be like, God, I wish I could get out of this job. Like
Sure.
once. So whether or not it was as close to abdicating as what they make it sound like, I think it was definitely
Yeah.
a good thing to explore of like her thinking about it.
I think it was also a good way to impress upon viewers who were watching it just because they heard it was a good show.
Oh, right.
Her commitment and how
Right.
much it meant to her to stay to the end.
Right.
Yeah, I liked that too. And you brought up a point, and then I was going to get back to another one. I'm going to go back to the other one first, and we'll come
Okay.
back to that.
Okay.
But there's a point where Will is talking with Elizabeth, with the
Yeah.
queen, his grandmother, and she's asking, is there a girlfriend or whatever?
Right.
And he says something to the effect of, well, there is this one girl, but there's and she says, well, why don't you just call her? And Will says something. He says, well, then something. He says, well, then something about stalking. And he says that would be like stalking, or I don't want to be thought of as stalker. And there's a tiny pause, and he says, but that's probably another word you're not familiar with. And she says, oh, I'm familiar with. And I'm like, that is such a stupid line. That is such a stupid line. The queen, who spends so much time in Balmoral, we're talking stalking for hunting, press stalking. How do you? That was so stupid. First, she knows what stalking is.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
That's
that would
funny.
not have been lost on her. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I hated that line. I thought that was
That's
stupid.
really
I'm like,
funny. I just took it as like in a dating sense that she didn't get what it would be, right? Like,
yeah, but I think you can put that together.
But she could have done it differently. Yeah.
She was just a pretty bright woman.
Yeah, right.
So I want to go back to the three, the younger,
Oh yeah, the three queens.
the middle age, and the older.
Yeah.
Together, and it's the middle age speaking to her. I think it was Olivia, and I still can't think what her name is. I never can when it comes back. Coleman. Olivia Coleman.
There you go. Good job.
Olivia Coleman says, her character, the queen, says something, she says, but you're different. You think of yourself. I wish I'd had the line perfectly, but basically but you're not the same as them. You're different than they are, and you know it. And
yes.
Yes, that you don't think of yourself as everybody else. You think of yourself as better.
Right,
and not better. And it wasn't you're stuck up. It was
like better suited for the job.
Better suited for the job. The way she's been tight-lipped, the way she's been even keeled, the way she's not put her her personal opinions out there, things like that. And as being one of the reasons why she didn't want to step down either, because what's to follow? What is to follow? And doesn't she even go so far, Olivia's character even go so far as to say, but what does it matter? Because you've done your job, and when it'll be the next person's turn. So, and I had a quick inkling of relativity to that when I was stepping away from the job that I had been working in for however many years. Certainly not as many as the queen. But something I had invested in and was leaving, my blood, sweat, and tears in a particular job before I quit working altogether to be a stay-at-home mom, and thinking, I need to train this person, and this is how I do this. And at some point you just have to go, they're going to do it their own way. And it doesn't matter to you anymore. You're walking away from this, you're leaving. It doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
And, but I remember that line sticking out to me. Yeah, you are better than that. And we're not going to see anything like that ever again. No. We're not. The level of commitment, it was a different time, it was a different era, but she was a different person who was.
But it was very much like
duty,
suited, to her personality. Like
absolutely, and suited to her personality, and I think also part of it, her personality molded to what she thought was expected of her. The prison of public opinion. Coming full circle, coming back to this again. It won't be like that again, because public opinion has changed, and public perception, and we don't, what was the deference? Isn't that the word, deference? Where we, the reverence that we had at one point for royalty. And of course that comes from hundreds of years of, it's a direct lineage from God, which that was not the truth. But we're not going to see that anymore. They are going to become more like public servants. We see that in Kate and Will and their, approachability now, and they'll do selfies. You see them in there with the pictures, which you're not supposed to do.
Well, that's what I was talking with Trevor on Friday about it. I said, just imagine, it was like if the queen had abdicated. It was like we're talking about the Queen Elizabeth II and Charles as we know them to be, right? So whatever they really are as people, right, or personalities, like how we understand them to be in their relationships. Can you imagine the queen still being alive, watching Charles do her job that she used to do, and Charles knowing that his mom is watching him do the job she used to do? Like, what's she gonna go do? Like, just go sit out in the garden? I mean,
True.
I think it would drive her insane.
It would drive her nuts, absolutely.
Right, and it would drive him insane. I don't think he wants, because he'd always be compared, right? Like,
absolutely. So
it would have been not a good idea. But did you hear about? I'm sure you did. The Queen of Denmark abdicated.
Going to bring that up. It's a great segue. Yes, I did. I did read that. You go ahead.
Okay, well, so the Queen of Denmark, I did have to Google her name because I always forget, or write it down, I always forget. So Queen Margaret, or I don't know if you know how to say.
I think it may still be pronounced Margaret.
Margaret, okay, Margaret the Second. So she's abdicating in 4 days is the official date. So she announced it on like December 31st or something, that on January 14th, which will be her 52nd, it's like the anniversary of when she acceded to the throne, she is going to be stepping down, and her son, King Frederick, will be King he'll be King Frederick the 10th. And so she's age 83. And like when Trevor and I were like looking this up live, I just like, what? She's only 83 and she's stepping down. Like,
your mentality.
You gotta at least push it to 90, lady.
Or 85. Let's go out with a round number here.
Right. But so yeah, so I'm like, whatever. It's Denmark, and I don't know the history a whole lot, but I did see that like no one's ever abdicated. Like I don't know, they said like in 900 years or something like that. Like,
No, and she's doing that so that her son can take over. She's done it for 51 years. I
yeah,
mean, retirement. I totally respect that. She's
I mean,
probably
I
like,
get
"Oh,
it,
I don't
yeah.
know this
And
anymore."
since I don't feel like I know them as people, right? The way that I feel like I know Elizabeth and Charles, like,
Right.
sure, maybe that works for them. I just don't think it would have worked for Elizabeth and Charles. Um, yeah, but
I
so
don't. I completely agree with you. I completely because she's held it for so long and kind of held it from him. I know
right,
she probably doesn't think of it that way, but yeah, I mean, because she could have stepped down. I'm sure there's, there's been speculation of that for the last 30 years,
right.
whether or not she should. And but people calling the same thing to should Charles step down? He's not going to. He's definitely
No,
not
it's
going
like just
to step
let him.
down. He's waited forever for this.
I know, and he's fine. Like just let like it's
Yeah.
fine, everybody. Um,
Does he seem so jovial to you? He seems like, and I think it's great because people used to think that Elizabeth was so much of a mother figure, and then she was everybody's granny. She was
oh
everybody's,
yes, yeah, yeah.
and I feel like Charles is kind of in that position now too, where he's everybody's grandpa. And I just saw the pictures yesterday of some event he was at, and he's always smiling so big.
Yeah, he does
You
seem to
didn't see
really enjoy
Elizabeth,
himself.
right? You didn't
Yeah.
see Elizabeth smiling that much. She was so
No,
so straight and so steady. You didn't see that, but you see him laugh, you see him smile, you see him as being a little more outgoing and stuff.
that's
And
true.
I think
You're right.
it's nice. It's nice to see
I
that.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're
And we
right.
sit here and speak as if we're the royal subjects and we're not, we don't have anything to do with any of this.
We are.
But I also, we just passed Kate's birthday too. I just want to say,
Oh, okay. How old is Kate now?
I don't know, would she just bloody well take a bad picture? I mean,
I'm sure they exist.
yeah, because when you get that half shot where like you like
Yeah,
your
yeah, your eyes are like,
like
yeah,
that, they make sure those never come out.
right. Well, so I wanted to bring up one of the things, oh my gosh,
Just
beautiful.
perfection. Yeah,
One
go
of
ahead.
the things that I watched was, and now I don't even know where I watched it, like which random streaming thing it was on. But it was a little mini series, and I didn't get all the way to the end, but it was called Keeping the Crown, and it was very focused on like it was sort of like the main crown that we're talking about is like following English history, but at the same time we're checking out what's happening over in Europe and like other places royal family wise. And so uh they focused a lot on how Queen Victoria and Albert, how their vision was to have all of their kids or grandkids marry into European royal families.
Well, I think
Like,
Margaret, that was looking up, isn't Margaret of Denmark? Isn't she part of that
was she
lineage?
one of them? Oh
I
gosh,
don't know. I'll take a look, but go ahead. I didn't mean
oh,
to.
okay. So they just focused on the ones that ended up being involved in World War One and then World War
Yes.
Two.
Well, of
And
course.
so, um, but basically it like so backfired because so it was like let's see, George V and Kaiser Wilhelm and Tsar Nicholas over in Russia, basically they're like cousins, and they had kind of grown up together, seeing each other a lot. But apparently, cousin Nikki got along really well with George, and it was like Wilhelm always felt left out. But Wilhelm also had an arm that was messed up from birth because
Yes.
he was yanked out because he was breached, and
Yes,
they pulled
right.
his arm out of his socket. But he also grew up having a huge chip on his shoulder about the British thinking that they're better than him. So he blamed his British mother for only having British doctors try to fix his arm. He feels like if they would have had German doctors, his arm maybe would have been better. All of his, yeah, any of his family that was actually like British, he just thought they all looked down on him. So he had something to prove. Germany had something to prove.
I've
And
heard and
then
read that too. Yes.
and then and
Yes.
the whole idea was that not only were they to marry into the different families so they wouldn't go to war with each other, but they were supposed to be bringing influence of like constitutional monarchy. Let's try to talk to your spouses and the people in charge of like moving into constitutional monarchy. It's working out so well for Britain. Let's do this. But for Tsar Nikolai, apparently whenever he was a little insecure about it or questioning things, that he was like really all like everything he does is like from God and he's supposed to know everything. Victoria's daughter, maybe Alexei, I forget if his daughter or granddaughter, I think it was daughter, Alexei, who was married to him. Well, she realized she loves Tsarina power. And so she is egging him on and telling him, no, you do it this way. So there were letters between Victoria and her, and Victoria is telling her, do things this, move them this way. And she'd write back and essentially be like, Mom, you don't understand how things work here. We don't even have to care about the public opinion. So
wow,
we know how the Romanovs.
Yes, exactly. Precisely.
Not that any of that is okay, right? But it was like, oh wow. So like the family stuff really did backfired, and it's like crazy. And just how much the Duke of, what they end up calling him, the Duke of Windsor, the one that abdicated, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the Duke of Windsor, it's like that they like found secret papers where like the Nazis had like pinned down every interaction, like everything that's ever been said. And one of the things he said was basically like, yeah, keep bombing England and eventually they'll work with you.
Yes.
Like, your brother's in there.
Yes. Yeah. That was in one of the episodes when Claire Foy was playing Elizabeth.
Oh, okay.
That was one of the episodes.
That was one of the things. About. Yeah.
Yes. There was also, I also watched a documentary. Well, we could hit the whole family tree. I'm gonna have to go here pretty soon. But there was a documentary I watched about how the Duchess of Windsor, Wallis,
yeah,
that she had actually written her first ex-husband, and said, what have I gotten into? He wants to marry me now. And it's something, I think she kind of hinting that she wanted to be back with her first husband. And he basically said, hey, you've made your bed, lie in it.
Yeah, you made
you've made a bit of stink here. So yeah, there are all kinds of speculation and rumors and stuff like that. Well, let me go back and say too that yes, Princess Margaret is one of the descendants of Queen Victoria.
Okay.
There, yes.
Well, look at that. That worked.
I know, right? So, oh shoot, what was the train of thought I just had? What was I saying before her?
Talking about Wallis Simpson.
Yeah. Who is conspicuously missing from the news lately? Harry and Meghan. Haven't seen a thing about them lately.
No,
I haven't. Have you?
No, but I'm not always like up to date on whatever.
Well, that's true. That makes it
I guess
like
I should say no one has asked me recently about him. I had this morning at BNI, someone asked me, they go, hey, so what's new with Prince Andrew? And I go, Prince Andrew? And he's like, yeah, like the Epstein list came out or whatever. I go, gosh, I don't need a list to tell me that they were like best friends. It's like, it was pretty obvious, like from
he is in the news every day. Pictures. He's in the news every day right now, and it is bad. It is bad. It is
not, but
yeah.
He's our black sheep.
Quite. There's no bouncing back from that. I mean, that's gonna follow him till he dies.
Yes, yeah. And I just think, what do you have?
Nothing. I just don't see anything
about him.
No, I'm looking up Daily Mail. No, other than the Princess Zara and Mike Tyndall, like cutest couple ever. Yeah, nothing, not much other than they're just everybody, they're quite favored. They're media darlings whenever they.
Yes, that's what I hear. Yeah, I hear their names on the Royal podcast like brought up sometimes. About.
But doesn't he have his own podcast? Doesn't he have his own? It was.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's Mike. It's Mike Tyndall. Mike.
I mean, Fergie does. She's got her own. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yes.
don't listen to it, but yeah.
She reads books. She reads children's. She's written children's books. She also reads books online
Oh,
to kids. I'm sorry, I'm gonna sneeze here.
that's fine. That's okay.
Excuse me. Pardon me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Uh,
Zara and Mike Tyndall hang out with Prince Harry's pals. Should we say former pals?
right.
Mike Tyndall reveals cheeky name for Prince William as he's not the best of drinkers. I did hear about this. You're in so much trouble, Zara Tyndall joked after her husband leaked the nickname, which was still looking. You know, they bury it, so you just keep.
Right.
Oh my gosh. They're just too cute for words. We basically call each other munchkins a lot, don't we? Or my love, Mike replied, joking that he'd leave it to Zara to disclose his contact name in her phone, whatever that is. 1 Pint Willie.
That's great.
1 Pint Willie. That's one I will definitely give away for Prince of Wales. 1 Pint Willie. It's out there now. Sorry, sir.
That's hilarious. I love it. I'm gonna have to look up. I don't know. I've
Hilarious.
seen a picture of
Well,
Zara.
listen, I gotta tell you, so I'm having a rather bit of a social day today.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's one of your followers, although I think she is.
Okay.
She also follows Britophile. We're talking Instagram following. Britophile, Anglophile in the Piedmont, Brill Bits, all these. I don't know if any of this sounds familiar to you. And about a year ago, she posted this picture, and I was like, doggone, that looks like it could be around here. And then there was another picture that she posted, and I'm like, well, wait a second. So I hit her up privately. I private messaged her. There's a girl, she's number 19 village number 19, something I think I should know. Anyway, so I hit her up privately and I said, hey, this is Nancy from Cup and Crown. Saw your picture of whatever cabin you posted. It looks like it's around here. I live in Northern Virginia. She says, I live in Northern Virginia.
What?
We're about 20 minutes apart.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Not kidding. And she sells British, English dishware, things like that, you know, a lot of like chintzware and toile that looks, you know, like those old French scenes and things like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we are meeting today at 3:45. We're meeting at a Starbucks just to, my husband's like, who hit who up? I'm like, it was my idea. He's like, and you know this, you're sure it's it? And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I'm pretty sure, you know, she's very sweet. We seem to have a lot in common. She'll post a thing about a movie or she'll post something else. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have that in common too.
That's awesome.
So I've been thinking about getting together a group of friends to go to the British Embassy up here just as a visit. I think all you have to do is call and go, can we get a tour? Maybe that's not quite right, but so she said she was interested, and I said, well, before I throw you in my group of women who might be interested, it's probably a good idea if you and I at least know each other.
Right.
So I'm going down to meet her today.
Awesome.
And get to know her and see. We seem to have a lot in common, and we'll see. So it might be a new friend.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's all through, you know, the internet and our love of England and all that stuff. And tea. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I actually have later tonight an event that I'm attending for the French Business Council again. And then the big French ball is this Sunday. So the big 18th century one.
Is that woman, what's her face? She's there.
Sorry, Paula?
No, the one who you might be able to do an elaborate tea.
Oh, actually, I don't know. Paula was in charge of talking to her for that. So I don't know if she's coming or not. I know who you're talking about now. Yes. So I don't know, but I steamed my dress the other night. So it is ready. And and then I've been watching a lot of, I'll say, French history, French royal stuff shows, because now I'm very curious. So like Marie Antoinette, learning all the specifics. And how much of a bad deal that was for her. Like they did her dirty.
I think so.
Yeah. But
women always seem to get look at Anne Boleyn.
Right. That's true.
A horrible business. That is just a horrible business. But yeah.
But France was like already going bankrupt and whatever. That'll be another whole long tea time if I start talking about my thoughts on it.
Wasn't Anne Boleyn French?
I don't think I feel like she was in France for a while before she came to court.
Maybe that's what it was.
Because I remember like in the shows or whatever, them acting like, "Oh, what'd you learn over at French court?" Like what fun
You're
stuff
right.
did you
Anne
do
Boleyn French court. Let me see. Sent her. Yeah, her dad sent Anne to the court of Margaret of Austria and then to the French court, originally as a companion to King Henry VIII's sister. So yeah, so she's not French. She just had that connection there.
Okay. Yeah. Which I haven't watched this yet, but have you seen the musical Six about
No, I've heard it's very good.
I know, I've heard it's very good, and I heard a clip of one of the songs, and it sounds really fun. So, because
It does. It
I guess
looks really
each one gets
interesting.
a song, yeah, and then
Yeah.
like styles, yeah. But anyway,
Well, we need to talk offline at some point. I don't like to announce when I'm not at home, but I have a trip coming up your way soon. It's a lot of family time and a lot of bang, bang, bang because it's a wedding.
yeah.
So, but think there may be a small window of opportunity if you know, so for you and I to meet for the first time face to face. So I will text or call you about that later. Also, as I told you, I have the possibility of a couple of tea events coming up and starting a tea tasting that might, if it goes well, that could possibly be I don't know what regular even means, but something that the museum might be offering. So, and if it goes well, I might start hitting up the country clubs around here if I'm comfortable with it enough to offer it to their clientele. But anyway, I'm going to need some help. So, and some ideas. And since you can't move up here,
I know.
talk you through or talk you through some of my ideas so you can go, oh, wait, that wouldn't work if you whatever. So I'm just
brainstorming.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Awesome. Okay. Well, did you have any final notes? Any final things?
on The Crown? We did say we're gonna do The Crown. I thought it was great. I thought it was really entertaining. It was such a good show. I wish people would realize again, it's born out of tabloids and filled in with imagination and hearsay and things like that. So based on historical events, based on tabloid hearsay, but I thought this last season was really good. I enjoyed it.
I thought they wrapped it up beautifully and like touched on everybody, and like I mean, I didn't know all the stuff about Margaret and her strokes and like all the thing, you know.
No, actually,
so I just thought that was and the person on the podcast, their guest, he was saying how he has a lot of family members who've been affected by strokes, and he was said how well done that was, like how it really showed that it's not like a single event usually, and it's like a long drawn out, you know, process of your body shutting down.
Yeah, that was my grandfather, my dad's dad, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought they did it really well, wrapped it up well with the way they had the queens together.
Yes. Well, and I thought it was funny the way, you know, they kind of, I could tell when Philip came into the chapel where she was praying. It was like the way the conversation started, I'm like, this is supposed to be like a post fact kind of thing, you know, and he says, well, say one for me, and walks off. And that was a really long walk she took from the chapel really out the front door. I was like, okay. And
I don't know if they needed to drag it up.
I'm sure there was an intention, but I think, you know, 5 to 10 seconds shorter would have suited me. I was like, oh, I know she's dead, so we don't.
I was like, how much time do you want me to not look at my phone?
I know, exactly.
This is the perfect moment to get distracted.
I thought it was good. Was that filmed? That's what I meant to look to see if was that actually filmed at one of the Windsor chapels. I find it hard to believe that any of the royal palaces would have given clearance for them to shoot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Places.
I haven't looked it up.
I don't even.
Question for another time.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, so we have February coming up, but let's find some time to come together and talk again, publicly, privately, whatever.
Okay, both.
I know, right? Definitely both. Right. All right, hon. Well, good to see you.
Yes, lovely to see you too. All right. Thank you. And
Thank
thanks
you.
everyone
Happy New Year.
who
That's right.
watches.
All right. You take care. Have a great day.
All right. Cheery. Bye.
Bye.